What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Game Time Discussions. My name is Cameron Selby here with Emery Cuzzy. Today we're going to go over the top interior linemen in the 2024 NFL draft class. We got a couple tackles that are projected to convert inside, and we got several that we haven't covered yet that are going to be either guard or center. We're going to combine them all. There's several to go over, but it's very top heavy in terms of the pure interior lineman.
Yeah, I would say that this is one of the lower. This is easily one of the lower positions in this class. We're really not going to get, in the receivers video, we said there were 16 of them that could go in the first 3 rounds. I'm not confident that this is a class where you get more than 4 or 5 in the first 3 rounds for this position. But we do have some offensive tackles that are going to make this class a little bit better because they're most likely projected to move to guard or center. So that will change how strong this class is later on. But right now, there's only a few guys, and there's definitely some tier breaks in this class. But yeah, let's get going.
Yeah, we'll kick it off with some honorable mentions. We'll go Christian Haynes out of UConn, Christian Mahogany out of Boston College, and then Dominic Cuny out of Kansas. Give us a little bit about each one. I know you said that mostly going to be, day 3 in this position group, but are any of these even worthy of being potential day 2 picks?
Christian Haynes will most likely be the one that pushes for possible day 2. He's out of UConn, small school, not in a conference, kind of like Notre Dame. So they did play some really good teams. It's not that, but he played right guard 3 seasons, 2,423 snaps. That's a ton of snaps. Durable, as you can tell, if he was playing that many snaps, hasn't been injured in any of that time. Didn't miss a game. But you can kind of see he's really athletic for, what a guard is. He does a pretty good job in the run game. But he had some difficulty against some of the better teams. And that's a little bit worrisome. NC State gave him a little difficulty. I just worry about that part. Basically, he has issues sometimes taking on power in outside zone. So he might be better for an inside zone gap scheme type of team. He's a really good finisher. He can climb to the second level, but he just lacks some. I guess he lacks some of that. I need to see it happen against the better players in the country, rather than when you do play those teams, you kind of fall short.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then we'll go Christian Mahogany.
Yeah.
And then we'll go Christian Mahogany out of Boston College.
Yeah. He stand out at the Shrine Bowl. One of the better players there. Didn't make it to the Senior Bowl. First team All ACC. Coming off of an injury 2 years ago, but just a solid player. Doesn't do anything special. Has some issues in against the pass rush. Just kind of leans too much, kind of off balance player. But at the same time, he's really good in the run game. Good climber. He's good at moving nose tackles across the center's face when he's down blocking and going to climb. So I think that, he's one of those guys that could fit in like a Baltimore scheme, or like going to a team like San Francisco, who love running the ball.
Chargers are another one that need a ton of interior lines.
Love displacing players. By displacing, I mean, if you are ISO blocking somebody and they're in front of you, it's a lot harder to actually displace them. Normally it's a stalemate. They hold the line. But when you are down blocking or blocking out on like outside zone, you are able to press them to whatever direction you want them to go. He has the weight and the power to do that, but just has a lot of issues in the pass game. So,
yeah, and then lastly we got Dominic Cuny out of Kansas.
First team all Big 12 offensive tackle. Not an interior lineman. He's one of the ones that we project to move inside. It makes a lot of sense. He lacks a lot of the athleticism to play tackle at the next level. One of the biggest fallers in the combine. We have it on if you go watch our combine Risers and Fallers video, he's on there. Lots of reasons that he fell. Just kind of needs to work on athleticism. He worked at guard at the Senior Bowl, so that is where, not just where we project him, but where he actually probably sees himself also. So while these other guys that we're going to talk about later didn't necessarily work with those positions, we actually saw him do that. He has a difficulty with speed rushers at times, but he's basically average across the board. Nothing special. Going to be probably a 4th, 5th round pick, and could come in and take an interior offensive line spot if you have a hole. Kind of like so when Robert Hunt came out, he was projected to play tackle, and then moved inside and was very productive. It's not that I think Pooney will in one day get 120 million or 100 million, I'm sorry, for 5 years, but he's definitely got the ability to help an offensive line from the interior.
Gotcha. So, not going to do a full breakdown on these next two, but Graham Barton out of Duke, first team All ACC player, really solid guy that basically just played left tackle.
Yeah.
And a lot of people already have him kicking inside, can play guard or center. Just give us a small tidbit about him, and then if you want to see a bigger breakdown, you can watch our tackle video that we talk a little bit more about him.
Right, yeah. Both of these guys are on the tackle video. We ranked them as tackles originally, so definitely go watch that. Graham Barton, short arms, stocky player, looks like a guard when you watch him play. Very much guard. But that's actually exactly why he fits the guard position the best too, is because he's really good in the run game. He's a nasty player. Wants to block down, wants to, get up to the linebacker. He's looking for a pancake. He's looking for that type of thing. But also, because he played tackle for so long, only 2 sacks, not a very big pressure rate, he's going to do really well against rushers. He's one of the, if you had to rank him, he'd be very high on this list of interior offensive linemen. Top 3, along with the next guy we're going to talk about. But yeah, so Graham Barton fits guard most likely, possibly even center. But yeah.
Yeah. And then we got Troy Fautanu, another guy that we view as a first round pick, mostly tackle experience, but he also played much tougher and stiffer competition when he was with Pac-12 this year.
Yeah, 984 snaps at left tackle this year. The reason he's going to most likely move inside is because he's only 6'4". But he has very long arms for his size. 34.5-inch arms. Really good athlete. 1.171 10-yard split. Almost broke 5 in the 40. So yeah, he definitely will move inside, outside zone schemes where he gets to run a little bit and climb, or a gap scheme where he gets to pull and kick out would fit him pretty well. I worry that he's, he looks small. Of course, he weighed in at 315. That is small for a guard. Truly, we want our guards to be 330, 340. Can he put that weight on? Is he going to get bullied by DTs? That's what I worry about with him. But good player, good athlete. Possibly, he's also a top 3 interior lineman in this class. Haven't seen him do it though, so I'd love to see how first year goes. I've seen people put him in the top 15, and I don't know that I'm there yet.
Right, but just on the outside looking in, if you check out our Mock 2.0 coming up, we do have him slotted somewhere in the middle of the first round.
Yeah.
But we'll explain more in that video if you want to go check that out. So let's get started with our true interior line rankings. We'll start off with Sedrick Van Pran at number 5. 0 sacks allowed. Basically no pressures. It was one of the top 5 guards in terms of PFF grade. First team All-American, all that good stuff. He had a very, very great year. Talk to us a little bit about him and what we can expect.
So he has versatility to play both center and guard. That's always good. He's a 3-year starter at the center position. Highest snap, this is one thing I like to see, highest percent of snaps of any Georgia player. So that means he's, always on the field, consistent, going to be out there. So when you watch him play, he fits into the mold of athletic center. But so it means he has good feet, willing to pull. Jason Kelsey always pulls, all those types of things.
Mhm.
Not as strong as some other centers, but really good in space. That's Sedrick Van Pran. Watching him against Florida State, they throw a screen, he runs out, he takes out the corner from the center spot, not the tackle spot, not the guard, in the middle of the field, gets out there, takes out a corner, that type of stuff. Love to see that. Team captain, just a really solid player, guy you want on your team. But he has the limitations of the fact that he's not that strong. He has good bend, but he doesn't have that much power. And that hurts him at times. It's when he gets like a speed rusher. Like a speed rusher, he'll be fine. But if he gets a power rusher, and what you get a lot at the center position is power. T'Vondre Sweat type of player, he has difficulty with that because he just doesn't have the mass. He's less than 300 pounds. Like, he doesn't have the mass to be able to put up with those guys.
Yeah, in today's game, you rarely see starting offensive lineman not break that 300-pound threshold. So he'll need to. He's only got a couple pounds to go, but I mean, it's something he needs to work on because truly, like you said, power is the name of the game. And we're seeing more and more defensive interior linemen wreak havoc and be bigger disruptors than even a lot of successful edges.
Right.
So moving on, we'll go Zach Frazier, first team All Big 12 center of the year, actually in the Big 12. One of the best pressure rates out of his position, 0 sacks allowed. Just very solid all around player that's going to be a mid round pick that could probably start.
Yeah, I've seen him go pretty high. I'm not as high on him. We're not as high on him. He's 4th on our list rather than where I've seen him go at like mid-second round. But at the same time, solid center. 3 years, 2,583 snaps. So he was basically the heart and soul of the West Virginia offensive line. I think he has great nastiness, good physicality. I just don't think he's a complete player yet. A lot of people think he can do a little bit of everything. I think he's just okay at everything. He's not great at anything, just kind of across the board about the same. As you can tell by his PFF grades, about the same on both. I just wanted to see more out of a guy that was being told to me was a mid-second rounder. That's not what I see, I guess is what I'm saying. Probably,
of course, yeah. And
end of the 3rd round.
And typically with centers, obviously they're the least priority position to fill of the entire offensive line. And unless you are just a game-changing center, we rarely see them even break the first-round threshold or even a second rounder. Usually you see some of the best centers. Jason Kelsey, one of the best of all time, 5th-round pick.
Right.
So that's kind of how we view it, is just like he probably should be. He's probably getting a little bit too much praise, but it's not saying that he won't be a starter right away.
Right. He has some really good IQ, and he understands momentum really well. So a lot of his pancakes and those types of things are just allowing the defensive player to basically mess up. He does a good job of that. But yeah, I don't think he's a second rounder by any means. Probably a 3rd or 4th rounder. But if he goes in the 2nd round and he is a starter, he's just an average starter to me. So that's where I kind of view him.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll go into our top 3 now. This is one of the hard goals of the Michigan offensive line. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out Joel Klatt and how he breaks down when he gets carted off the field, and the ovation he got from the Michigan crowd was some of the best you ever see. Usually you see that if it's quarterback or if it's your star receiver or edge rusher. It's an offensive lineman. And he just truly, I guess, galvanized the team so much that the fans took notice. And so that's something cool to see. But he was first team All-American, and that's a large reason why people were as loving to him as he got.
He's definitely... So I've seen a lot of rankings where he's not this high. And I'm just I don't get it. Because I guess he's the guy we're taking the stand on of he's better than consensus. But he is better than consensus. He just happened to get injured. That's not you can't, like, in this case, you can't take that away from him. He is amazing football player. You know, you got to think, playing for Michigan, a lot is asked of you on the offensive line. You know, they run the ball 40 times a game and never misses a beat. Just great player. 0 sacks this year. You know, 0.017% pressure rate. These types of things that you just can't overlook. And I have a hard time with how people are ranking him based on the fact that he has been so good. And they're just wanting to put him down because of the injury. I get it. But he's also one of those guys that's always looking for work. Like if he's got no one to block, he's going to block somebody. You know, you might be blocking him, but he's going to plan him for you.
Right.
He's you know, one of those guys that, you know, teams just want to play with. People want to play with him, want to be on his team, know that he's going to put the work in every day. He's, you know, film study crazy. He's hard worker on the field, off the field, just good player, great attitude, all of it. Got it all.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, you understand that there's injuries, but at the same time, we saw like Landon Dickerson a couple of years ago who had tears in both knees, and yet he still was drafted where he probably should have been because of the potential, and then now he's the highest paid interior lineman. So it's not like it's unprecedented to see somebody who had a season-ending injury just come back and just not miss a step.
Right.
And it's with being an offensive line, there's a lot of a chance that he can return to his form.
Right. And I wrote this down. I think this is important, but he's well, first off, he's 6'6", which is the tallest by far of all of the interior offensive linemen. But strong and powerful hands at the point of contact. Initial punch is awesome. So he just when he hits somebody like off the line of scrimmage, he throws his hands. People are going backwards. Like they're like, oh my gosh, you know, they feel it. His biggest problem is he's just an average athlete, but he does all the other things right. He's the football player you want on your team. Stop projecting so much.
Yeah.
Don't overlook players that are good. Like just pick players that are good at football. And he is.
He's going to be a mid-round pick, and he'll probably be one of our standouts for one of the best values.
Oh yeah,
that comes out. Obviously for good reason. So moving on, we're going to have Cooper Beebe, who was a first-team All-American, Big 12 Lineman of the Year. As an interior line is very, very impressive. You know, just incredible production, both run game, pass game. Just walk us through him.
So I guess first thing to look at is, you know, 0.02% pressure rate, 1 sack, really good. I want to explain that though, because it's not exactly true. He didn't just play guard this year. He played both tackle spots, he played guard, and in his career, he has played snaps throughout his career, 778 at left tackle, 1,847 at left guard, 25 at right tackle, 25 at right guard, and 476 at right tackle. I mean, everywhere. Does everything. Basically just the heart and soul of the team. He is a thick 6'4", 322. I mean, he is as wide as a fridge.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that I think, like, just like Zak Zinter, they're both going under, like, valued, and I don't get it because he's been so good for so long. Both of them the same age. Age at the interior offensive line is not the big deal.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's been so good for so long. Almost ran a sub 540. Like, I'm having a hard time understanding what these two guys have done wrong to deserve it. Zak Zinter, he had the injury, so I put Cooper Beebe above him because they're in the same tier to me. But like at the same time, I'm like, I don't understand it. So that was my big thing. Really good lateral mover, good hip flexibility, and is able to locate in space, which is something that normally is pretty hard to do for these guys on linebackers and stuff. He lacks some length. I literally wrote down oversized fridge because that's what he is. He is an oversized fridge, and he can move for the most part. I think he fits best in like a gap scheme where they're asking him to pull a little bit and also to use his frame to swallow defenders. He can do it. Why not? And he's just so consistent every single year. Never had issues. And yeah, he's probably not the best athlete like some of the other guys. We're projecting these other guys, right? These two guys need to have some more value. Underestimated players. Just come on now. I'd expect Zak Zinter to end up at the Chargers, and we'll all be happy.
Right.
But,
yeah, that would be a match made in heaven for Jim Harbaugh, who's moving over. So
yep.
But moving on, number 1, that's just a crazy first line. But
yeah,
Jackson Powers-Johnson, our only true interior lineman with the first round talent and grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, just flabbergasted. There's 2 zeros before you see a digit that matters.
Yep, and it's a small one.
It's a small one. And 0 sacks, second highest grade at his position. All-American, just amazing.
Yep. Remington Award winner.
Yeah.
So if you kind of like do the math, Jackson Powers-Johnson has 1/10 the amount of pressures that Cooper Beebe had, who is our number 2 on this list.
1/10.
1/10. By far the best of any player. 21 and a half years old. He played at 340. I know it says 328. That's the combine number. He played at 340. Can move. Can do it all. Kind of reminds me of like some of the old, like our past drafts. We've always got this one interior lineman that makes it into like the top 20. And we had Garrett Bradbury. We had Frank Ragnow, I believe. No. Yes. He was like 19 or something. Yeah.
And then Cesar Ruiz almost.
Yeah, almost. He is Frank Ragnow. That's him right here. This is him. So, age is great. Second best PFF grade. Pass blocking grade. He's by far the best at it. He can play guard or center to me. Only played guard in his career for the most part. A few games he had to fill in at guard. I mean, most only played center. I apologize, but he played a little bit of guard. He can do it all though. He'll never be a tackle. He's 6'3", but he's great in the open field. He can block. He'll be in any scheme. Pick a scheme. He's good at it. He can block in the open field. He can get up to linebackers, safeties. A lot of people are trying to make the case that Oregon throws the ball so quickly it didn't matter. Well, it's still 0.002%. I don't care what you have to say about that. Like that's almost perfect. Yeah. So just for that to be like, that's a legit number. It blows my mind. In 2 seasons, he had 3 pressures on 691 snaps. He has alignment flexibility, and the biggest problem with him, out of all things, he had 9 total penalties, and 3 of them were, false starts, center false starts, which is an odd thing to have, but
right. And
then the other 6 were holding, and that's the biggest problem that he has. But otherwise, there is no issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. I mean, and I know he wasn't a center, but when Dallas took Tyler Smith a couple of drafts ago, my biggest problem with it was that Dallas was the most penalized offensive line that season. And then one of their players that they got and invested in was by far the most penalized offensive lineman in the nation.
Right.
Out of 130 teams. So what does he do? His rookie year, leads the league in penalties. So got exactly what I expected. But then his second year was an all-pro.
Right.
So you got to take sometimes the bad with the good, because when the good is so good,
it's okay.
Yeah.
It ends up being okay.
Can't nitpick every single thing.
Right. I also want to say, like, he's one of those guys that just gives constant effort. Like, if you're running a run play, he's the guy that's sprinting down the field and, like, randomly jumps on the fumble. Tyler Biadasz just left Dallas, but I remember on a Monday night or Thursday night game or something, he's sprinting down the field to celebrate with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard fumbles the ball and he dives on it. And I'm like, those are the type of effort plays that I see here with JPJ. And it's just he really is so far above the rest of the group here. Truly, it's JPJ, the two tackles that we talked about at the beginning, and then kind of that Zinter Beebe group.
Which we're higher on than others.
And we're higher. Shows. Yeah. So because I think that's actually the same. There's going to be a gap between Graham, Barton, Fautanu, and JPJ. And then that group might even be third rounders. Like, these are all first round guys, and then you have third round guys. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what the problem is with this draft class, is that it's really just one guy and everybody else.
Right.
So,
but again, I don't know the numbers off my head, but it just feels like interior linemen have the best chance of being late round, working out more so than others, and it just kind of makes sense, because if you need a center and you wait to the 5th round, just plug him in, and everything around him's good, he could probably thrive.
Well, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we put so much draft positional value. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Running backs, we see running backs in the 4th, 5th round all the time that work out. Interior offensive linemen, interior defensive linemen, those positions, they just aren't as cared about when you draft. Mm-hmm. So they fall. So automatically they're pushed back a little bit. But yeah, I think that interior offensive line is definitely a spot where you could get a 3rd, 4th, 5th rounder, and he might not be ready right now, but next year, he's good enough to at that point to play for you.
So, absolutely. Yeah. So that being said, guys, that wraps up our interior lineman rankings. We appreciate you guys sticking in with us. We are almost wrapped up on our positional rankings. We got. Do we got safety?
We have to do safety.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
See, I thought I was in the wrong. Oh my god.
No, you're right.
We're gonna continue this thing.
One more.
But yeah, again, appreciate it. Go like, comment, subscribe. Check out our other positional rankings. We just released our mock draft 2.0. Check that out. We mocked the mock last week with Mel Kiper and Daniel Jeremiah, some of the best in the business. Please let us know what you think of those as well. And we're getting more and more active on our other social medias, whether it be X, Instagram is starting to pop a little bit. So, yeah, thank you. Can't thank you guys enough as we continue building this community.
Yep. It's slow moving right now. We're trying to improve, obviously. We're going to improve camera and mics and room.
We're moving in that room.
We're moving, we're across the hall. So we'll have just, a better area to be able to present this information to y'all. And we're getting excited. It's, it's getting closer to draft time. Then it's fantasy football. Then we got the season, and then we start all over.
Yep. So it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, football will never end. We have a little bit of downtime in May, but that's it. 11 months otherwise. So we really appreciate y'all being with us, and we're gonna put out content even when we're in the downtime. So we'll have something for y'all constantly.
Yeah, this is mostly about informing you, getting you familiar with some of the best prospects, and then some of the moves that were made, this, that, and the other. But then we started getting into our predictions and some of our rankings and some of our fun games that we have in store for you guys. That'll be a little bit more interactive and stuff that you guys can participate in a little
live
bit
streams. What we would do, drafts and stuff like that, which are fun because all of these guys that we do our mock drafts for, they're, kind of based on what we think those teams will do. But when we get to do what we would do, it's a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of super interesting takes, guys that you wouldn't expect in the first round. It's going to be all over the place. So that's the fun part about that. So
for sure. Yeah. But till next time, guys, y'all take care, and we'll see you in the next one.
We appreciate it.